like I said, man, I'm a huge fan of yours, but I'm so like enamored with your brand, man. Like your brand, North and Co. Black and white, gray. It's just different, right? I mean, it just stands out. And you mentioned about 3,000 broker owners out there and this and that, and a lot of them pretty much have the same exact thing, right? But you guys are different. Who came up with the colors? Who came up with the brand? Who came up with the ant symbol and the CEO, right? All of that stuff. Who was that person?
Yeah, technically it was Rethink Advertising. I've got to give them credit. It's
like an agency.
Yeah,
okay, got it.
RETHINC.
Yeah,
they're great friends of mine personally, like outside of our relationship. They were a client of mine first. I helped them find a house. They were in the husband and wife team. Stephanie and Ed were in different respective businesses at the time and came together to start an ad agency. And I interviewed them and vetted them just like I interviewed the other ad agencies as I was building North & Co. And they won the job legitimately. It wasn't like, I'm going to kick you a favor because I earned a commission.
Yeah.
I knew I was on a trajectory to build a real business, and so they won, and they won big. I'm the one that was the brainchild. I mean, I couldn't draw it on paper, but I sat and articulated with them who I am, what I wanted to build, the brand, etc., and they executed on it perfectly. The first ad, I don't know if you ever saw it, was a picture of the back of my head, and it said, "It's about you." And that was the first ad that we launched with North & Co. that I think really kind of shook the marketplace a little bit.
What year was that?
2015. No, 2014. Yeah, because North & Co. was my team before it was the brokerage. That was my team.
When did you hire them to create this?
Which, by the way, is broker non-compliant. You can't be a company
North
as
and Co.
a team.
Not anymore.
Yeah, and it was North and Company. So at the time, I didn't know it. I ran for 6 or 8 months, and the Department of Real Estate sent me a letter, and they said, "Hey, we had an anonymous agent say you're in non-compliance," straight up. And as we were transitioning from old co to new co, on that day, it delayed our launch of North and Co. by 1 day because I had to go remove everything North and Co. as an agent, prove to them I was starting a company tomorrow where they okayed me, and then go live again.
Wow.
So North & Co. But Rethink was the one that came up with all of it, and then it just morphed, after that. And we had some core tenets about how we branded, though.
And let's talk about those tenets, right? So, did you have an internal team, in-house marketing, branding team that was constantly focusing on that, or you were just outsourcing all of that?
Not for outsourcing to Rethink for the first, probably, I'm going to say 4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
So you had them work on your branding for 4 years?
Oh, yeah, any brand campaign. So first thing, core tenets, no face and name. Right? Traditional kind of real estate marketing is face and name marketing. My face, my name, I'm number one, right?
Yeah, right.
And we identified this because we sat in a room one day and we took the Arcadia News, which was my target market as a team, and we put every realtor ad up on the wall, and they were all face and name marketing. And they literally said, "I'm number one at something." There were agents that I knew did 1 or 2 deals a quarter,
They're still
and they were number one in their office, or number one on my street, and it was kind of funny. We joked about it, but it was like, we can't do that because we're just going to be in a sea of others. And they literally looked at me and said, "Brian, you keep telling us how punk rock you are and how renegade you are. What if we did an ad where it was the back of your head? And instead of saying, it's about me, I'm number one, I'm this, I'm that, we said, it's about you." And I was like, fucking done. Done. Let's do it. And they were like, seriously? And I'm like, hire a photographer and we will shoot pictures of the back of my head. I went to a studio, shot pictures of the back of my head, right? So... And then the next thing that we do is big image, so huge image. If you look at any of our advertising, it's a giant captivating image because we know that when people are scrolling or if you're driving by a billboard or flipping through a newspaper, I might get a couple seconds. So I need some really captivating image. And then 3 words or less. We've only had one ad that was 5 words. It was a real estate experience unlike any other. That was the longest words we've ever had on an ad.
Yeah.
And it was a giant picture of a moon man's shield.
Yeah.
And it had ampersand on his space suit, and that's all it said. A real estate experience unlike any other.
Yeah.
And other than that, it was 3-4 words or less.
I think your slogans are real estate by trade, right?
Real estate by trade, which we had almost on very few of our ads. That would be consumer direct ads, if we were doing direct mail campaigns and things like that. But we kept the real estate by trade component really ambiguous because there was a component of what we were doing that was marketing to agents, right? It's like we wanted our campaigns, we wanted agents to be like, dude, I want to be a part of that. We wanted the consumer to be like, we want to be a part of that. So as soon as we real estate-ified it, people start, it's like if you put a plumbing company, it's like if I could help any company with marketing, be as little of what you are in your name and be as much of what you are in the delivery of your message, right? So for us, we had a North & Co logo, no slogan. It was just the logo, very small. If you look at our billboards, like full digital billboard at 44th and Indian School, and I'll bet you that the North & Co logo was 10% or smaller of the billboard. Yeah, because the ads were so captivating that we wanted people to go, what is that? Who is that? And what most people want to do is they want to try and tell the whole story in their ad. But you only have a few seconds to try and get your message across. So it was a real estate. And then so first it was big image, few words, small logo. That's the standard, okay? The next thing that we do is we try and take real-time conversations in the marketplace. An example would be, I'm trying to think, really, really low inventory. Okay, when inventory was like 3,000 homes on the MLS and it was just a dogfight, right? We went through this whole thing of like we went into a brainstorm session, big image, few words or less, and it started with like running a marathon. Like it felt like, hey, it's going to be a long run, but we're going to hang in there with you kind of thing. And our imagery just, if you think about running a marathon, there's nothing fun about that. So you're like, okay, we can't deliver a message that's running a marathon. There's nothing fun about that. Now, one other thing I try and do, and it's if we can get lucky, is we dovetail in some very popular culture, okay? So at the time, we're like kind of riffing. I'm like, what's going on out there? It's like a chess game right now. Like, you really need to be like 5 moves ahead. And everyone in the room kind of stopped. And they were like,
5 moves
dude,
ahead?
5 moves ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, there's our words.
Yeah.
Okay, now what's the image? And I was like, okay, and we went into this thing and we couldn't really figure out what it was. And I go, okay, let's erase our brains for a second. We're too stuck. Let's think about pop culture. And Andrea Larson, our brand manager, brand director, looked up and she goes, have you ever seen the show Queen's Gambit? And at the time, Queen's Gambit, it was a Netflix show about chess, was probably the most popular Netflix show on TV at the moment. Everyone in the room was like, yeah. And it was like, okay, so and we went chess. Then it was like black and white. That's very North & Co, a chessboard. Then it was a chessboard, and I was like, I got it. I want like the king standing there, laid down like checkmate with a queen like standing over the king. That's all I want on the board. Boom. Next iteration comes for our billboard, chessboard, king's laid down, queen, 5 moves ahead, North & Co. That's it. Right? Now you're driving by and you're looking at the billboard and you're like, it's kind of cool. I have chills as that one, feeling like when that one came together. And now it's a combination of big imagery, few words, tells a whole story in a very, very limited capacity, but like captivating and cool. And then that part of popular culture is hitting a reticular activator for a consumer that makes them say, something about this is familiar, but I don't totally know why. Right? It's like, and they don't know it's Queen's Gambit. They're not thinking that. They're just at home watching Queen's Gambit every night, binge watching, and then see a chessboard. And for the first time in most people's lives, like there was something about chessboard sales were up like 3,000% during this time that Queen's Gambit was out. So we play on that. And throughout the nature of our marketing and ad campaigns, we've done this along the way.
Yeah. So like everybody talks about branding being your number one currency, right? I mean, totally. you guys are a definition of that if you think about it, right? So are you guys have any like KPIs, any tracking mechanisms where you can actually like track and see like, how many people reached out to you, how many agents reached out to you based on that billboard or any other marketing that you guys are doing?
No. Yeah, I don't care.
You're just creating. The goal is to create omnipresence.
So here's,
right?
if I'll give you a short one here is, for me, when I was first starting to make my run and I was starting to sell real estate, I started getting my first ad calls for billboards and newspapers and Zillow at the time, and it was impression sales. Okay, so then my thing was I didn't go buy from any of them. What I did do is I went, okay, I learned that impression sales are valuable. Okay, everyone's selling me impressions. Yeah. So what I want to do now is negotiate my lowest cost per impression with every marketing medium that I can find. So I put Rethink on CBS Outdoor and said, go tell them we're a buyer, But until we can get to a number that makes sense for my budget, we're not a buyer. So they would call CBS Outdoor and be like, hey, Brian still wants to do this thing.
And
Well,
CBS
you guys
Outdoor is the billboards.
Billboards. This particular, there's multiple out there now,
yeah.
but in this particular case, in this particular location, it was CBS.
Yeah.
So it was like an old listing where you're like, hey, my buyer's still interested. My buyer's still interested until this agent calls you and goes, okay, write your offer. And we did that with the billboard. And we did, open house signs. I had a whole strategy with open house signs to get the most impressions. Newspaper ads. I negotiated long-term contracts for low-cost impressions, right? And
let's go back to the open house strategy.
Yeah.
You said you had the whole open strategy when it comes to the open house signs. What were you doing?
Super simple. I got really high-level agents at really small splits on my team. I wasn't making money off of their deals.
Yeah.
But every single thing that they marketed had my name on it, not theirs. Okay, so that was the currency that I traded with them. You guys get thick splits. I'm playing the long game. I'm not going to look. I don't even know if you're going to do deals or not. You're professional. You dress professional. You're going to speak eloquently of the brand. Like, lucky to have you and work with you. Good luck. In the meantime, and we did open houses 2-a-days. So we did 2 open houses Saturday and Sunday. So 4 open houses in Arcadia, 52 weeks a year. I don't care what you do between Monday and Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, we all do open houses together. I had a team of 9. They each had 12 signs. All 12 of those signs had my name on them. 108, I think, is the number of signs that went out all day long on Saturday and Sunday in a neighborhood of 3,000
And they're seeing your name everywhere.
Period.
That's it.
That's it.
Gotcha.
And it was for 2 years. And then we ended up doing that with the brokerage at the brokerage level. But the reason that I came up with that was not because I was some hardcore marketing guru. It was because I took 10,000 phone calls of people selling me impressions. And I was like, what's the cheapest impression I can create in my micro market?
Yeah.
Because people driving up and down Indian School was not my market. Some of those people might be West Valley. Some of those people might be East Valley. Some of those people might be North Valley. But I get 90,000 impressions. Great. I'm not trying to sell to all 90,000 people.
Yeah.
I need these 3,000 people to see my name all
the time.
day long. So my thing was based off of what I was learning from the pitch and the sales of impression marketing. I then went 108 yard signs, probably cost me $2,000, something like that. So for $2,000, one-time cost, I got 52 weeks of 3,000 impressions all day long. So that's how that came.
And plus, on top of that, if they get your stuff in the mail.
Oh yeah, so we called it Stain the Brain.
Yeah.
That was literally what I called the campaign. So I eventually had Rethink Negotiate made a great deal on the billboard.
How much were you paying, if you don't mind me asking?
$1,500.
That's it?
$1,500 a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's digital billboard.
In my heart of my target market, I've had it for 10 years. Never not been on the billboard. Arcadia News, they negotiated and made great long-term relationship with Arcadia News. Then I was doing direct mail, got the shopping carts at 48th Street and Indian School at the Safeway, and then I had my 108 signs. And then I even went so deep, at my open houses, my direct mail was inviting the neighbors to open houses. Why did I do that? Why did I invite the neighbors?
Oh, because they're eventually, can be sellers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
good.
But also, I mean, from the branding perspective, like you're making connection and we're building a rapport with them, right? And you're planting the seeds for the future transactions.
Yep. Yes. One step before that, true to impression marketing. So I learned impression marketing from people selling me impression marketing.
Interesting.
I learned inviting neighbors because all of my counterparts, every time I said, "How was your open house?" said what?
Nobody showed up.
Just a bunch of nosy neighbors.
Yeah.
And I went, "You're complaining? Like, I door knocked to build my business, and you're telling me you're in your target market, you put signs out, and all the neighbors come to visit you?
Yeah.
This is genius." So I started doing direct mail to invite the neighbors. I was doing 3 things. One, I was auditioning. That's what I called it. They didn't know it, but I was going to wow them with knowledge, professionalism. Hey, we just moved in 3 weeks ago. That's a terrible lead, right? They just bought a house 3 weeks ago. But they go, my agent, I need a painter, and I can't get a hold of my agent, right? Agents love to forget about their clients. No problem. I'll shoot you a painter. Ryan, you're not my agent. I know. That's okay. I got a great painter, local guy, Arcadia guy, going to get him to you. So I was auditioning. I was providing value, collecting information. That was my long tail information. So for me, it was inviting neighbors, but then I got a local coffee roaster to make half-pound bags of coffee. And I had a branded the coffee stomping grounds. Okay, so it was like Arcadia was my stomping grounds, and I had this cool little logo on the back of it. But the sticker on the front that said stomping grounds was my yard sign. That's what it looked like, except for it said stomping grounds. And I literally went to this level where I was like, I want for them to see my yard sign the first thing when they wake up in the morning. How can I infiltrate their mind first thing in the morning? So now it's like I go get my coffee because I invited. I grind my coffee, this beautiful local roasted coffee, and I see Brian's yard sign. And then I drive down the street and I see Brian's yard sign. And then the Arcadian News comes and I see Brian's yard sign. And then I go to Chick-fil-A and there's the billboard and I see Brian's yard sign. And in staying the brain, impression marketing is really what put us on the map.